So good evening, everyone. Dashidelek. I welcome you in Munich Schlosszelt for the beginning of our teachings and our program. Actually, they're not really our programs, but this event is really comes from our greatly beloved teacher, Garchen Rinpoche, um, who last year on his world tour was unable to make a stop and visit Europe. And so we hope that he will remain with us in future times and to continue to bestow his very precious teachings to us. So now we are very fortunate to have the opportunity again to welcome him here, and especially to receive his very deep wisdom and great love, which is something that all of us really deeply need in order to find inner peace, to to be able to coexist harmoniously with like the people around us and our broader society. I know that everyone is waiting for Rinpoche's words, and that you don't really want to listen to my words any longer, but just for information, there's a sincere request of our resident teacher, Drupal Tsering Rinpoche. So Rinpoche agreed with great joy to bestow very special instructions this year in Munich. The reason being especially also because Rinpoche always really emphasizes that this is a very special, very precious place. So he made the decision to give these rare instructions not just out of great no, not because he thinks that we are very special, but actually that these teachings are extremely special. This is the first time he's giving these Dzogchen teachings. These teachings are teachings given by Longchen Rabcham. So these instructions Rinpoche himself had personally received from his own Dzogchen teacher, Khenpo Münzel, at a time when he was in imprisonment in China. And even this time, he experienced even that time as a very precious time, and that was the time that he received these very special instructions. This Dzogchen cycle contains normally 4 empowerments. Rinpoche will bestow one empowerment of these, and this will take place next week. So all participants and all interested ones, I would like, if you would like to know the detailed schedule, please have a look on the doors where it is posted, and also on our webpage, garchen.de. Ja, also habe ich schon. Ja. Mhm, mhm. So moreover, the Drikung Garchen Institute belongs to the lineage that derives from Tilopa, who passed on his own instructions to his disciple Naropa, who transmitted it to Marpa, and who transmitted it to Milarepa. and then to his disciple Gampopa. And in this way, it reached our lineage founder, Lord Chigden Sumgön, and whose closest disciple was Rejungba. And our beloved teacher is said to be an incarnation of him. And this fivefold path of Mahamudra, Rinpoche will also teach this here for the first time. And I don't want to miss to tell you that these are very special instructions. We also have an opportunity, and probably due to our karmic destiny, that we are able to receive these instructions at this point of time. In the future, so the next instructions that we will be able to receive from Rinpoche will be in 2 years. So these teachings were actually never given in this form here. So that is why it is really very special. Therefore, I ask everyone to really take it to heart, to open your mind, to open your heart, and to let go of your ordinary thoughts and your ordinary afflictions, just like the clouds on the sky. Don't cling to them, and create a good foundation, a good basis that we really are able to absorb the precious words of our very even more precious teacher. So then again, I would like to introduce you to the poster that are posted, the flyers that are posted on our detailed program. And we ask you that during the teachings and during the empowerments, please do not do any personal recordings or filming. It's not only about copyrights, but also it has to do that we do not want to disturb our teacher with flash lights and various recording sounds and so forth. If you would like to do a recording, then we ask you to please talk to one of us, chairmen like myself and also Ruben Zering, who is also a chairman of our center. So if you talk to us, and we can talk about what to do about it. Today there is an exception. Today you can take pictures, but please not during the instructions and not during any questions and answers or the refuge. So regarding the Great Yamantaka empowerment, it is open to everyone. There are no restrictions. Everyone is welcome. So there were several questions about that. So just to reiterate, everyone is welcome, and you're able to bring yourself and open your heart or your mind, and hope you have a good time. Today, the topic of our public talk, Rinpoche is going to talk about the 21st century and ways to find peace and happiness during such times, and how to avoid how to avoid to fall into the opposite of peace and unhappiness. And I ask you to really absorb these words, even if it is just a public talk. Still, it is a deep instruction. And the way to absorb it is not just to take it with the intellect. And if you just absorb it and take it into your mind without thinking too much, then success will not be far. Regarding refuge, probably most of you know about that. Just in brief, you the main intention is that you want Rinpoche to be your teacher, and to absorb his instructions and to live by these instructions. If that is what you feel, then it is the right moment to take refuge with him. So it is a ceremony, and having taken refuge, after that you really belong to the circle of Garchen Rinpoche's disciples. And it doesn't then matter if you find yourself to be a good or bad student. Actually, just the fact that you are drawn to take refuge, that you're drawn to Rinpoche has shown that you have a connection to this teacher from previous lives. And I personally find that such like a faith in the teacher will really help you overcome various obstacles on your path. So then regarding the public talk, since we don't have much time, at the end of the public talk, we can do a maximum of 3 questions that can be asked to Rinpoche. And after that, we will have a brief break, maybe 5 minutes, so we can get some fresh air. Then we will continue with the refuge. So I would like to thank you to listen to me very patiently. I'm happy and I'm looking forward to a wonderful and very fruitful next coming days. And I wish you all the best. And I ask you to bear with us and be patient if no things do not go quite right, or if we have made a mistake. We really have a pure intention, but of course nobody is perfect, especially myself. And so I hope that everyone who joins our program here, that this is not going to be a big problem for you. So I wish you all the best and enjoy the teachings.
Annie, we don't hear you so well. It's really
Um, Where's this guy?
오마호 내 주로 남아서 뭐 다시 데려줘야 돼. 아마 제 주로 닝발에 나가 그렇게 잠만 보시는 사람 시지 죽고 말고 요만코 가디나 옛날한테 다다 백성 참아 그다 저라 내버트이나 마음버트이나 다다이나 내버트가 동해서 참에 초고 요리 내버트이 동해서 변 담을이는더니 약합 손아들이 약합 망시 메르트들이 매망보다 졸라서 제삽지 가리를 졸라서 찐 가리를 송아리 썸노서지 조고 썸노던 거요 조고 썸노서는 눈이 대박에 이 잡는 초과 치고 이거 깝되나 사지게 야와요 셔라요 성요리 잡을 눈이 야와서 이라면서 랩요리 초과도는 미참아 메셔송은 식 가리자요리 야 깝되는 이 삼주 가라면은 이라면서 랩요리 그래서 가리를 랩요리 가리를 초과자고 다sam어도 저코도 sam어도 안네 들으시더니 사지 송 오 저코로 sam어도 거래시 저코로 sam어도 어떻게 있어 보여요.
So my Dharma friends, I'm Dashi Delek to you. And so most of you are actually my older Dharma friends, and you have heard my instructions many times. And I'm really, most of the time, really saying the same things over and over again. But in any case, now I'm thinking about this century, and also thinking about the past and the future. In the past, for example, we can remember a lot of suffering and hardships that have been experienced in this world. For instance, in this world, there have been wars, and a lot of terrible disasters have happened. And so when we think about that, it's important to really also remember why has that happened, what cause and condition has led to that. So for example, in history we have had the First and Second World Wars, And now the Buddha, for example, had said that there are those rams called the hell ram and the hungry spirit ram and so forth. And actually, during those times of the world wars, those rams of hell rams and hungry spirits have actually appeared in this world. For example, we have had the hell ram when many of the soldiers lost their lives in fire and a hail of weapons and so forth. Or also we have had the hungry spirit ram here when there was no food and people were dying from starvation. So then how has all that come about? So here we need to look at the causes that have led to all of that suffering. And that is why the Buddha had said it is very important that we remember that we think about, reflect upon the causes that lead to all the suffering experienced in the world.
Welt von Hungersnot heimgesucht wird. In solchen Gegenden ist die Erfahrung vergleichbar mit denen in den Hungergeisterbereichen. Wenn wir solche Beobachtungen machen, solche Erfahrungen teilen auf diesem Planet mit unseren anderen Menschen, Mitmenschen hier, dann ist die Frage, die sich auftut, was ist die Ursache dafür, dass wir dies oder jenes hier und jetzt erleben müssen? Und dazu hat der Buddha klare Aussagen gemacht zu der eigentlichen Ursache dieses persönlichen Leidbewegens.
15歳の方がつりただとねせたらよかにおてたべたざっぱりさとるせたまらとねよくとかかしるよくとやっててな자캅のそうなてたとねまより자캅 양요를 초과는 속만용의 자캅 요리 야 요는 자캅 뒤나요 미소선 손을 먹게라요 가시를 동에 자캅 때를 동에면 미소소를 동에 있다 요거니 요리 초과 말이 진짜 예예지 라미라 요리 진짜 이와서 가리 차송들이 저것들은 차송하리 얘들이 저지랑 소속에 다다다 저 차근 간 잡을 동에 무거워서 가자 라랑 소속에 잡을 게 너무 왔다 가자 찍 너무 찍받지 말지 너무 가지 중대 문제는 라게 소식 줄여서 초과다 가이래서 초과다 시당에서 차도에서 오 제일 시당 차도 가도 따따 소소를 매는 좀 바꿔도 대학으로 들이 시당도 차도 매발도 무슨 새끼 탐지기 줄라 삼바타 얘기 준 최송선 라미기냐 와 라미기냐 딱 저기 뭐요 그래 저거 거르비 라마토데 저거는 막 톱나 저거는 토야요 말이 사용자분을 까서고 요 말이 졸로를 조망가에 놓고 디나니 가서 계속서 동네 라마미가 요 까서고 요 말이 저거는 고지 성기 사지게 대와한테 대외 저다 대발쳤지 대외 저시 오나 잡을링 시에서 저는 소소라는 너무 죽고요 말아 만종이 어디 갈까 만종이 저것도 소소라고 대고로 싸움었다네 어때다 소시 저거는 아마도 다 잡을링 싸움었다는데 다 대도 내가 터보나 다 사족 sem지 제는 다 사지게 사지를 뭐란 게다 니따베 빼나고 뭐를 도는 메리지 그래서 저봐 터야 돼 삼바지 중계래 삼바가 중계 이거지 다다 니와 중대 오는 잡을링 오 십대 가래 십대 셈삼지 삼바리 중계리 뒤에로 싸먹어도 저 소소소소로 가다 라라라 소소소 그러나 이 미쪽에 두는 게 그러고 이 미너를 봐야돼 변 잠소지는 자공증을 대셔고는 잡지 저 일 가래더니 잡소 사고 차고 제대로라는 소지산이 받다주다라는 소지산이 다 세비바 저거 사바 세비바 이제 세비바 없네 유지요 뒤도 어떻게 하는데 지중은 들이 대화하시대 차가 바깥으로 떼서 단담을나 대화라고 하서 이거를 빼내야 초과가 매가 내가 데려고 가르쳐고 습기 탐지 삼지에서 시락답 채우면 시락답 채워서 이거 다 근처 초과 담을 시대를 가와 탐지에서 되고 이제 삼지를 해주리스 소소한 건 이제 삼지에서 되고 있다 그렇지 못해요.
Wenn wir die Situation
And
solche
so now when we
Auswirkungen
think about
im
the
Heiligtum
causes,
über das
now
Erdumwesen
we first need to look into the world. Now, is it that everyone suffers in this world, or is it that some suffer more than others in this world? So, for example, in this world, there are some countries, for example, that experience less suffering than others. For example, some countries have not entered those world wars. And then even within those countries where there is not much suffering, then still people do experience some personal individual suffering there. So not everyone is the same. There is a great variety of experiences. So then the next question is, how did this all come about, this great division, these different kinds of sufferings? So here we need to think about the causes. First of all, we say that I do not want to experience suffering. So if we don't want to experience suffering, we need to look at the causes. And so for that, it is first important to recognize the afflictive emotions. And so that is that first to recognize that the afflictive emotions of all beings in this world and one's own are exactly the same. We need to recognize the fault in these afflictions and that these afflictions are present within one's own mind. Then why is it happen that individuals fight and engage in war? It is because of hatred and jealousy. And where are those afflictions? Right now, they blaze like fire even within myself. So then in order to eliminate anger and jealousy and so on, what can we do? We need to give rise to love and compassion. And if that is present in our mind continuously, then just naturally hell and hungry spirit realms and so forth cannot arise. And so now, if we do not find freedom in terms of causes, we cannot find freedom in terms of results. For example, once we already encounter the results of an earthquake, for example, or a flooding, or any disaster caused by the five elements, once that has happened, there is nothing that we can do about it. What's important is that we avoid the causes that lead to such suffering. So the Buddha has said, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So the cause of happiness in this entire world comes down to the right causes. So even though no, there are there are certain countries where people do not experience suffering, for example, it is because they have created the right causes. If you want to experience happiness, you need the cause of bodhicitta. So that's really the aspiration of the Buddha. And this is how you find perfect, precious human body among the six classes of samsara. So even the slightest happiness or well-being that you experience comes from the mind of love and compassion. So we always speak about world peace and peace and happiness. But what does that really mean? Where does it really come from? It really can only come from the mind of love and compassion. We need to create the right cause. And it is just like our suffering state of mind is like an ice block that is floating on the ocean. So if you want to melt the ice block, you need to melt it like particle by particle gradually as the water gets hotter and hotter. And what makes it hot is love and compassion within one's own mind. And this is really, even for the time being that love and compassion is within your mind, you will experience peace and happiness within yourself. And once that is achieved, it also spreads out to contribute to peace and happiness in this world. So now um, states
Man
of
könnte
like
sagen,
lack of suffering, lack
Wachstum
of
als
war,
auch
and
eine ganze
states of happiness and
Menge
peace in
Aufruhr
this world all
in
come
dir
from that. It
und
comes from
Frieden
love. And
gut
when
zu
there is
machen.
love,
Und aus dem Ozean
then
sind viele
wisdom naturally
Eisschollen,
arises.
die
And
gegeneinander
peace
schlagen und die
in
Wellen
the world is
aufheizen wie der
created by such
Wenn es doch
wisdom
ginge,
that is
diese
founded
Zeit
on
aufzuhalten und
love.
ein bisschen Wärme in die
So
Welt geben,
um,
dann
even
wäre
the
dies der
slightest
Wunderpunkt
happiness,
nicht
up
so
until the largest
wichtig.
happiness in
Es
this
braucht
world,
eine
is
gewisse
all nothing but a
Temperatur des
quality of
Eises
love and
und
compassion.
durch
So
das Schmelzen
therefore,
von Eis
what's essential, what's
beginnt
most important,
beginnt
is
der
to hold on
Vorstrahlen
to really only that, to
die Wärme,
sustain
die wir in die
only
Welt
that, this
hineingeben,
quality
ist eine Wärme,
of
die
love and compassion in your
der
heart.
Erhärtung, der Gefühlswallung, der kämpferischen Konflikte, Auseinandersetzungen beginnt langsam aufzuweichen und zu lösen. Dadurch, also dass wir auf die Ursache schauen und erkennen, wir alle sind von gleicher Bauart und was im Großen dann die Kampfhandlungen sind, die den Völkern miteinander beginnt in den Herzen der Menschen, wo sie von Ärger und Eifersucht getrieben sind. Wenn wir in unserem Herzen diese Gemütsstürme befrieden, haben wir einen Beitrag geleistet. Denn immer wo Ärger uns überkommt, da wird der Strom der Zuneigung und Herzenswärme unterbrochen. Und wo keine Liebe, keine Herzenswärme und Freundlichkeit mehr vorherrscht, da ist Not, da ist Kampf und da ist Unglück. Beginnt unser Beitrag damit, diese Herzenswärme in uns selbst zu entwickeln. Einmal, damit wir selber zu einem inneren Frieden dann finden können. Und man sagt, ich wünsche, dass alle Lebewesen die Freude und die Ursache zur Freude haben. Dann beginnt dieser Wunsch damit, in uns selber eine Veränderung herbeizuführen. Und er wird auch ein Beitrag sein zu dem großen Ziel, wo wir vielleicht Frieden und das Erleben und Freude für andere wünschen, aber ein Wünschen, das auch an die Ursache denkt, also ein intelligentes Wünschen ist. Wenn wir aus dieser Sicht heraus die Hauptaufgabe darin sehen, große Herzenswärme, Liebe für alle Menschen, alle Lebewesen in uns freizusetzen und diese Herzenswärme in alle Richtungen verströmen lassen, dann ist das auch ein Ausdruck großer Intelligenz. Der versteht, dass die Ursache aller Not und alles Aufruhrs eben in dem Fehlen von solcher Herzensfreundlichkeit besteht und wo wir dort sie wieder entwickeln und die Wärme darauf scheinen lassen, werden wird die Härte der Auseinandersetzung zu schmelzen beginnen. Dann haben wir einen intelligenten und wirksamen Beitrag zum Frieden in dieser Welt geleistet.
이나 다다다 잠빌링게 셰데다 라만 라리데면 그 메시랍지 똑지 대사주에 빼놨지 다다다 라만 돌이 약합 말고 요래 대사주에 내가 대화적 소바데 답시 감식 마주제 그 오미티비야 보리 제야 보리들 지삼노 따상 가리 내가 제단 가리 제로 소소지 소소지는 소소한 뒤에는 미치는 잡을는 게 동하지 세금이 소지 가리게 그거래 다 되게 잡을는 거야고 차고서 로티 되게 소소고요 뒤에는 미치 샘도 동야 요면 미치 돈 가리 그 세도 잡을 차비요래 잡을는 싸운 거딴 거요래 야 가시게 뒤에는 인생지는 그 내실은 내지 양치랑 게다소 제네 사스다 양 말합처럼 리서 로관 리바 대신이 요래 대삼시 람가 가리도 다다 미시 먹니부터 소방 컨트롤하는 거 되게 매야 요래 가리를 가도 미시 샘상고 가리 레탄 가리들 미시도 재미있어 그래서 시랍 몇개 딱지 땅에 대도 딱지잖아 너는 산재가 용시 시선 답을 줄가 들이 하고 요래 나도 드니 듣고 요래 얘도 약할 망을 들려가 시고 내가 죽치부지 했고 요래 다스다 미카시리 약하고 신지당 듣고요. 약하고 샹도 이제 쳤고요. 내가 지금 나랑 드리고 라카시 듣고요 말 로모래. 사도는 알아 똑같이 홍보자 돼요. 내가 저 알아 홍보자 돼. 베세 요새 좀은 이 사바티요. 뒤에도 상관없다. 뒤에 소소 가지고 또 사바티. 약하고 상관없다. 매만로 상관없고. 랑 찍고 따고 싸면서니 뒤들이 등이 윤체 매봐요 거요. 등이 총총을 하자도 못 차야 돼. 배를 같이 하자도 왜 집을와. 나가 등이 집붙여 담아 배깡이도 나기도 타도 나고 보고 나고도 싸면 돼서 뭐도 잡을 상도 아니지. 오, 제대로 강이고 잡을 강에 가서 이거는 어디서 용시켜야 고. 싸면 이 인제 동에서 하고서 시작해. 라고 동에 총도 동탁고요. 매발도 동탁고요. 대들 내도 되시나. 대들 상도 또 상지 초기 상지 요 이제 양자양들 그 잡을 되지 상지 상지를 좋아해. 상지 지금 막 시합 용신세. 잡을 피바다 내가 가르쳐도 다디도 차도 지금 미스테이크가 가르려도 그러면 잡을 거 먹겠다. 찌와도 나와도 막 가르 찌와도 막 가르 나와도 세상 못 살아. 소소고 되는 30-40 모여 맞지. 다 사지 가는 것은 나와 사지 봐. 다 사바 세비 봐. 오늘 나가 셈 처와요 사바 된다고 하면 딱 지었다가. 오 처와요 사바 되면 딱 세우고 도마세요. 미 되게 다 사바지 봐 되는 들이 람이가 되고 네 말 피마다 내가 줘야 랑의 시합 람지는 요거요. 가리나 줄로 요나 메르다 오니 장에서 용디 가면 사바세미 봐. 잡으려라 센트도 챕터부터 오면 이 챕터 받을 싸먹던 거에 대해서 못하면 이 싸먹던 거 몇적 싸먹던 거 잡을 챕터고요. 그 대해서 싸먹던 거 들이 뒤도 되게 되게 많고 봐라. 뒤자로 사제가 뭐라면 요래 소소하는 길이 제거를 같이 보자면 말이야. 사바sem이라고 자토고 사바시 시합 연구요.
So, for example, in this world, when we look at people who try to bring about world peace, there are certain individuals in this world who really have a lot of great wisdom, intelligence, who are very powerful and who are able to do really great things in this world. Or there are various countries who have experienced a lot of well-being and independence and so forth. People praise them for those things that they have accomplished, so they consider them as really a great person, and then they are awarded with like golden medals and so on. And it is because here we need to look at why are they honored in this way? What are these people thinking about? What is their motivation and what are they doing? Now, what these people want is the best for the world. They want to contribute to something great in this world. And this intention that they have in their mind is something that we can't see, but still it is that mind that pervades the entire world. They can think in this very vast way, really caring to bring about something great for this world. And then there is other individuals who are jealous at that and who try to undermine and who try to compete with that and so forth, who basically care only for themselves, have corrupt intentions. And so these are the people then that people actually blame. And whenever we hear someone say their name, we get angry at them, and we say, oh, this is how you should not be, this is how you should not think. And so why is that? Now here again, we need to look at the motivation of that person and what that person does. So basically, when we investigate in this way, we can see that all the good qualities in the world or in the Dharma come from this basic quality, this motivation of love that really accomplishes your own purpose and also for the purpose of others, for the wider community and the entire world. One can really accomplish great things. For example, there are some people who become a president, a leader of a country, who are really able to serve their country, their community. Then there is others, for example, people like myself, who are not even able to take care of themselves, who have to go around begging for alms and so on. So what makes the difference really? The difference really makes comes from the motivation. So this is how we need to really think about it. If we only think about ourselves all the time, then all we will experience is this ongoing state of misery. We will always be unhappy with everything. And even the smallest problem appears huge. We make a big problem out of it. And we complain about everything. For example, I have this problem and that problem, I'm sick, and or my child is sick and so forth. S- a person, on the other hand, who understands the wider picture of things will think that actually there is much more suffering than my own in this world. And small things like that can always happen. So such a person who really understands the suffering of others will have a greater intelligence or insight. They understand the workings of karma. And in that way, seeing the wider picture of things and putting things into perspective will help them also experience their own suffering as not so significant, actually. So it's important to think about that quality of love again and again, because that is really where all the happiness in this world comes from. And if there's love, then also the quality of insight, of wisdom arises. Now, so we need to think about now, how does a person act when they only think about themselves, and what negative consequences does that have, and what are the positive consequences of a person who really has a motivation to benefit others. And really thinking about it carefully will really make you understand how precious love really is. And then you will finally understand the preciousness of the Buddha's teachings. So in the Buddha's teachings, we speak about developing boundless or immeasurable love. And that's also a feeling that we need to actually experience. So bring up this experience, this feeling of immeasurable love for all beings, and experience it, and see how when it arises, the mind and the heart just naturally open up and spread out. And then when that happens, then just naturally, whatever you do will naturally be beneficial to everyone around you. So when there is love, naturally there is awareness, a wisdom that knows what to do that will bring benefit to others. So it's important to think about the benefits of that, the qualities. So and here it doesn't matter whether you follow a religion or not. Everyone needs that quality of love. And if you have that quality of love within your own mind, then that mind can pervade the entire world. Even if it's just one person's mind, that mind can pervade the entire world. And when that happens, and then actually the previous aspiration prayers of the Buddhas actually are coming to fruition also in future times. So it is important to really open up the mind in a much a larger, vaster way, and to spread out. And that what is important here is um, that you focus on developing that quality yourself, not just think about it in a in a too large sense of all the many things that have to be accomplished and what other people have to do and so on. All that's really important is um, I need to have the intention myself, and then I can affect great things. If I develop great love, it will naturally spread out. So I don't have to really be concerned then about whether other people are developing the same intention and so on. So you develop immeasurable love, and from that naturally wisdom will arise. The wisdom that knows what need to be done then will naturally arise out of this state of boundless love.
대다들이 변나 저당 저 삼바도 유르지나 소박하게 되는데 들이다가 변들이 마음을 하고 만나들고 다랑을 받들려고 차거리지 그 마음을 그 김치 동반주 동반편지 요약고 차거리지 납세 오고레지 오 공산을 배 핀센스 보고레지 약고제 고레지 공산 너 바탕이 그 말이지 그리는 말하는 랑은 낭미나라가 낭미 상말 냐들어 낭미다 약고 차고레지 또는 뭐 또고 약고 차고레지 너비 디사바지 가는 코스는 남기세 차 대지거리 우리 세대로 차들 잡아 차 타고 말이지 제 삼바세 메나 나지 집안 동야 요 말때 딱과 나가 사대 세대 도도 차들 시합 내가 차는데 이는 핀사 확 하고 요 말이 제일지는 나 죽고 너는 소바는 소바리 아 저거 요 말이 고토고 요 말이 삼바라 띠니 니지제 그래 니지를 시합 제 그래 매매도 사운이 드니 요거 데이터로 지나 쏘드니 잡을이 yap고 차고 또 소소랑 해서 사바 체인고 그거 초왔지고 오로가 가서 약간 가로서 소와 약간 yap고 차고서 로제 데이터 걸러들이 들이 문인지 잡을이 좋았던 특고 요래 데이터를 막 보나 다다 미르서야 요래 세트인 프로데 미르 삼목서 요래 내도 참기 삼바는 희결 지네 zuki me zumi rela sopa sushing meto sama juanga reva yore sen juanga na se de reva yore samsi una tini pen nam chaba bawa tin tera sopa tanki 려 침보 요래 준비해 나야 시라시 놀라들이 samsi 랑sem 루 차가도 가지 가리고 차가도 때 손에 samsi 다 보자마 때 소에들이 또 특별해 야 요래
And so this feeling of love, when that arises, we need to begin with recognizing that feeling and then expanding that. For example, you can think that may my country be well, or you think that may my town, my city, my neighbors be well, or it is important that in our society that we get along with each other and that we are kind to one another, that we don't hurt and harm one another. Or in your family, you can think that may they be well and happy. Or if you have a friend, then you want them to be happy. So in this way, wherever you begin, slowly and in stages, gradually, you expand that feeling of love. And the more it arises, the more your mind will relax and it cannot freeze into an ice block. On the other hand, if you do not cultivate love, um, um, opening your heart to others, then all you can see is your own misery, your own suffering. You're completely self-absorbed. All you can think about is what about me, 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 I. It's all about me. It's something we can't see with our eyes, but it's always there. And it's that concept, this feeling of I and me all the time, it's all about me, that makes the mind become like a solid block of ice. And when that has happened and the mind has closed down in that way, the heart has become constricted, then it is impossible for you to even be aware of what other people need, and what might hurt them. Then all you can see is your own misery. And the smallest misery then appears to be unbearable. So we need to develop love in stages. From love arises compassion, and from compassion arises wisdom. We need to make it grow just like a flower, from a seed into a sprout into a flower. So you begin with that feeling of love that someone, your country, for example, and so on, be happy. So it is yourself. If you want to contribute to the well-being of the world, it is yourself that needs to open up your heart and develop immeasurable love for all. You need to actually feel that feeling of love. And wherever you go, whoever you meet, you need to feel that feeling of love. And if you practice in this way, you can actually bring about a change in this world. For example, if many people begin to think in this way, changes really can happen, because how things change in this world is really due to the minds, the intentions of the people. So if people give rise to love and compassion, then that affects the outer world, the outer the beings around you, with or without a body. For example, without the body, the spirits and so forth. Everything is affected by your motivation. Even the elements are connected to it, or the forests and the trees and the flowers and anything created by the five elements. And then those five elements are also connected to the five afflictive emotions. So there's a direct relation, actually, and that's also explained in the teachings on karma, cause and effect, where it explains that there is a very direct connection between the inner state of mind and the outer environment, like the rain and the clouds and so
There's things
forth.
that I'm not tabi chuluk jiti meno niyore. Yinang di lok niyore chuluk jesale. Di sampata ngiji ge dakwa me jabu jikta yo mari. Sampata ngiji dakwa jama te nyam da di ngang chuluk kwang chuluk de. Di da le tsal di da di yang ma cha chupas ni mi ne le yo do yore. Di sa ma yore di soji chiro 낙하다냐 무슨 지제들 뺏지들 체매 발랍요래 체매 받으면 들이 자다결 저러고요 들이 자다결 저들이 자다리다 동에 이제 매요 거래 서울 따부터 더블 노나 두공시야 책직 도다지 요있어 잠벌게 등에지 조치 참아지 나가라고 세고 주는 요래 제 종피지 가래리 딱지 땅요 세당 그래라 차도 그래라 세나리라 다 대답이 맞지 찍다 요 말이 되게 주 하마오 어쨌든 먹라고 요리 다좀 되게 먹고 와지 뒤에 싫어 들이 되게 심지 인지 동에 되게서 랑 동에 되게서 하고는 뒤에 싹 갈고 딱 삼바지 짜치 버리지 괜히 치드 요는 소리 집어요 우리 쳐치는 거 쳐다 보자고 요리 보면 저기 쳐지는 뭐 쳐지게 서로 사봐요. 파철스 와요. 뒤에 있는 삼박 용지시라. 근데 이니 다시 삼박이 양도 검 삼모 땅 때는 너는 땅 손나 봐야 나반냐는 제가 탑지게 모조미를 탑차인데 모조 장가를 들어야 돼. 장가서 지지 아무도 쓰는 요리. 문이들 삼박 재미 맞지나 모조 연구요 말이 가리지는 데이터 우리가 쏜 것도 너도 단 놀라 또 삼바 재미도 라고 이치요 봐도 다 유리지나 답을 페이지에 소소형 탁하게 라는 피바도 얘는 내가 톱톱고 요리지.
So in brief, you need a mind of love, and then your mind will relax. And so now in this world, we have basically two systems. That is the mundane system and the spiritual systems. And there is no religion or spiritual path in this world that would not consider love and compassion as important. They're all considered as important. But then often what happens is that also we infuse that with selfishness. And then we say, that's my religion, that's his religion. And so once the self is there, there is only going to be problems. That then is what happens actually then is we transform something medicinal into a sickness. So the Buddha, when he spoke about love, he said, all mother sentient beings, limitless as space. So we need to develop immeasurable love, boundless love for everyone, every being. And if that immeasurable love is lacking, then even Dharma practice will turn into the cause of developing even more attachment and aversion. And as a result of that, suffering is bound to ripen again. So actually tonight there's really just one important thing that I have to say, and that is all the suffering and the causes of suffering that we witness in this world actually is all within my own mind. It all is complete within my own mind. If you look at your mind, you can find it all there. There is anger, there is jealousy, there is greed, and so forth. And all of the suffering arises from that. All of the suffering in this world arises from the negative emotions in your own mind. And because we don't know that, and not knowing that is what we call ignorance. We are blind to the workings of karma. So if you know that, then you recognize this is what has created. These negative emotions have created your suffering, and they create the suffering of all other beings in this world. And once you understand that, you really will see the preciousness of love. And when you have it, that there will be happiness. Even if you, for example, have a dog, even if you have no human companion, but if you really love that dog, the dog will feel happy next to you, and vice versa. There is a mutual experience of happiness and love, and that's the quality of love. And if you really understand that, then finally you will want to make an effort to cultivate it, to really think about it. So now we are Buddhist practitioners, and as Buddhist practitioners, we always speak about the importance of preliminary practices, and for that we consider the numbers of accumulations as very important. And that, of course, is a great merit, but actually the true ngundro preliminaries is this boundless love. And if you do not have that, then you are not ever actually completing your ngundro. So in brief, what we need to develop is trust in the quality of love. Then that will be of the greatest benefit, the greatest contribution to the world, and it will liberate yourself. Or in other words, it is your own greatest benefit, and it is the happiness of others.
In dieser Hinsicht, wenn wir sagen grenzenlos, dann wird der Ausdruck oft genommen, so wie Raum, wie Weltraum keine Grenze kennt, so ist auch die Zahl der Lebewesen darin ohne Grenze und Maß. Und alle ausnahmslos in unser Herz mit aufzunehmen, unsere Liebe auf sie sich erstrecken zu lassen, das ist die innere Entwicklung, die wir selber einleiten müssen. Und die beginnt mit der Einsicht, dass egal wo wir auch sind in dieser Welt, wir alle die gleiche Bauart teilen. Wenn wir uns beschweren darüber, dass dort und hier irgendetwas in Aufruhr und in Unordnung sei, diese Unordnung, diese Aufruhr ist gewisslich auch in uns. Es gibt kein böses Gefühl in dieser Welt da draußen, das wir nicht auch in unserem eigenen Gemüte tragen. Schauen wir doch, wir alle kennen, wenn wir sagen, Ärger, Gier, Eifersucht, Stolz und so weiter. Diese Gefühle sind uns nicht unvertraut. Das heißt, wir haben sie alle in uns. Und wenn das die Ursache unseres Misserlebens und persönlichen Not ist, dann sitzen wir alle an der gleichen Quelle. Und grundlegend sind wir nicht wesentlich verschieden. Da mag ein anderes Lebewesen sein, das wir als geringerwertig einstufen, als Tier, ein Hund vielleicht. Aber wenn man genau darauf schaut mit dem Herzen, dann ist dieser Hund in seiner Erlebensweise nicht zwar anders, aber nicht grundverschieden von uns selbst. Ein empfindendes, fühlendes Lebewesen, das auch die verschiedenen Gefühlswallungen kennt. Und wenn wir da eine grundlegende Empathie empfinden, die Gleichartigkeit verspüren, dann ist diese Einsicht in die Gleichartigkeit der Lebewesen der Beginn der unterschiedslosen, unparteiischen, grenzenlosen, weltumspannenden Empathie. Das könnte unser Herzensziel sein.
Sambar uli jure che sambaha kona pena tango tata samba sebi ba kona dar te dar samba che kores teso mari te muniri da de no ba tang na da de no ba tang or de muji le chari tin che ku nga do ba tang muji le yore kari no ba tang na yela che ku no ba tang de shok che do che shedang ma de no ba shok che do 오, 세상은 누가 채도 빼는 것을 보바타비 카 포르메 바이는다 제가 레비 오래돼 이나 다마다 레비 오래 사마 미소나 미리 그 조로 요래 세상도 미도 조요 말이 세상 되게 세들라요 되지 매와 시람 매와 치수만은 야그 잡을 거 동이 참아 세상 저 세상이 삼는 것이는 담에 되게 사바하고 요래 사바이 뒤하고는 이 세상에 쪼지 하고래 들으면서 주바라 지를 내고 요래 주바라 지를 냈나 들으라고 남의 신지 조고 서당 서 있는 애들이 주는 뭐 들이 주는 뭐 그래서 주만 매봐 사다버 사바 세비가 요를 뭐지 사다버 셀다버 사적서 빼줬고 요래 가지를 줘버리지 그렇게도 봤다는 저야요 말이죠 막하시 됐다왜 상상아 문에 대해서 사막이 있었다 그러나 뒤에도 뭐 되겠더니 양상한테 잡으려면 필요했다 잡으려 대화야 요래 대화 상치 제일 좋고 요래 대다타가 사막을 또 이제 사막을 또 시럽이 있는다 주치나 봐 나서 sab지 우리 피부 소망고 요래 대상지 사막을 이제 시럽지는 따서는 잡으려 야지도 요래 다른 세상 차도를 제서 미토를 주는 대체 제서 중지 세 열지 비농이와 싸움마다 난 이제 성우지 싸움마다 성우지는 소리다고 해보자 가나랑 소소 파다 쳤다면 이제 사바다 이제 로바를 닦고 야보잖아 그러면서 나와요 말이면 잡을 때는 내 구조 자고들 갖고 가리 구조 자고 오늘 사바다 잡지에서 로바가 같이 보래 때도 오 자스 노바타나 내 같이 వచ్చి 자트 세상을 세상 근도 그도 자치 세상을 랑 세상 더 맞잖아지 다들 동네 삼지 세상을 마음껏 크죠 요리스 때도 하고는들이 사마트서 하고 거를
So if you really understand the quality of love, and it really arises, then when this immeasurable love arises, then actually a sign of that is that you even feel great love and affection for those enemies and people who try to hurt you and harm you. And it is actually said that it is first and foremost those individuals who hate us and who harm us that we need to develop love for. And so when there is someone who causes a lot of harm, first we need to understand that this happens due to the causes created in previous lives and also some temporary conditions. And however, we need to see what is of greater harm. Is it the harm being caused by that other person, or is it the harm being caused by my own anger and resentment towards that person? And if you really think about it, you will find that it's actually the harm caused by my own anger and resentment is much more detrimental, much more powerful. For example, when the Tibetans came to India, they really had nothing, no food, not even a bowl or anything to take with them. They came with nothing, but still, within even though they had nothing on the outer level, within they were many of them maybe were like filled with rage or anger about what had happened to them. And so in this life, if you look blazed with hatred and anger, then in this life you will find no happiness, and also you will not develop a discriminating insight, intelligence, and in the future take birth in miserable states of existence like hell and so on. So basically what I'm really trying to say is that all the suffering in this world is created by hatred, by anger, and we need to understand that this is our true and worst enemy. And if you understand that, then you have actually understood also then the actual quality of love. And when you understand that, then naturally patience will actually arise from that. Then naturally you will forbear any difficulties. Then such a person who is always patient, no matter how difficult it gets, that will be considered to be a reliable friend or a reliable neighbor or family member and so on. It is said that love that is sustained with patience, this patience is like the ground that has stability, the grand stability. Bodhicitta is said to be like gold. So such a person will always be by your side. No matter how much that person is harmed, such a friend is unchanging, reliable. And that comes from understanding the quality of love. So this is where all the happiness in this world comes from. It comes from love, and through the power of love, wisdom arises. And many good things can come from that in this world. This is also why technology and a lot of good things have been developed in this world. It is because of a wish for the well being of this world, love, that leads to compassion, that leads to wisdom. And on the other hand, anger and jealousy is what transforms medicine into poison. So, um, what's important is even if we cannot you know, really do something on a larger scale and don't have the power to do so many great things for the time being, it's important to hold on to that seed of love, to protect this love with patience. And if you do that, if you just sustain your love and your compassion with patience, whatever you do, you will not be mistaken on your path. So it's very difficult to come and say, just today, very quickly, I'm going to bring about a great movement or something, a great change in this world. That's, of course, very difficult. It has to happen slowly, step by step. And for that to happen, the motivation, to sustain that motivation, is most important. So what's the most important word really that I'm saying here is that if there is harm being caused by an enemy, then it should be recognized that the actual harm is your own reaction of reacting with a mind of anger and resentment. That is more harmful than the harm being caused by that enemy. In the 37 practices, for example, it says, unless you tame the enemy of your own hatred, outer enemies will only increase. So it is that enemy of hatred that has created all your suffering right now, and it is that hatred that will create all your suffering in the future. So if you really clearly understand this, then you really have begun to understand the necessity and the quality of love and compassion.
Natürlich kann ich nicht erwarten, dass wenn ich selber freundlich besonnen bin im Herzen, dass dadurch alles in dieser Welt draußen gleich geregelt ist. Wie soll das sein? Von der Ursache her betrachtet bin ich aber auf dem richtigen Wege. Und mich davon nicht abbringen zu lassen, geht nicht von der Wichtigkeit des Herzens
사바스미디 곰네들이 정말 당선하지 양상형도 곰 이제 매번 나도만 보이고 뒤값이 나도지 잡았지 사바스미가 파마겠지 물론 못지 그기겠지 럭니 다 붙이지 용지 이제 이렇게 근데 이제 갑 들으라고 좀 못해서 용지 이거 골랐지 이제 사바지 에 들락사지 이 양상형도 특먹고 주는 거예요 이제 매번 주는 거예요.
So in order to develop immeasurable love, we need to cultivate it, accumulate it, just like a honeybee is accumulating honey. Because there is an ongoing chain of thoughts continuously arising in our mind. So instead of thinking about all kinds of things, replace these thoughts with bringing to mind the kindness of your parents or your precious human body or the kindness of your teachers of both traditions, the worldly tradition and also the spiritual tradition, or the kindness of your country, or the qualities of your companions, your friends, and so on. Basically, when you think about the qualities of others or with a sense of gratitude, then love will naturally arise. But you have to cultivate it again and again. You have to continuously bring these qualities up within your mind so that love arises continuously.
Zum Beispiel all das, was wir an persönlich Guten erfahren haben, dass wir überhaupt jetzt und hier einen Menschenkörper geschenkt bekommen haben, der von anderen genährt, gestärkt worden ist, dass wir in dieser menschlichen Welt gelandet sind. Dass wir nicht nur einen Körper, sondern auch eine Erziehung und Ausbildung genossen haben. Wie viele haben dazu beigetragen, uns zu unterstützen, uns Wissen zu vermitteln, uns auszubilden und so fort. Eine große Güte von all jenen, die uns so geholfen haben, dass wir uns in dieser Welt zurechtfinden, einen guten, starken Körper zum Beispiel haben. Und auch jene, die einen Beitrag geleistet haben, uns in Verbindung zu bringen mit einem Weg zur Befreiung. All die guten Lehrer, die Unterweisungen, die wir haben empfangen können. Es gibt auch genügend Anlass, sich alleine schon darüber zu freuen, wie wir Teil einer Gesellschaft oder Gemeinschaft und Kultur sind. Da sind ungezählte Vorteile, die wir jeden Tag wie selbstverständlich benutzen, die uns von der Gesellschaft, von der Kultur zur Verfügung gestellt werden. Haben wir auch genügend Gelegenheit genommen, diese zu würdigen, wertzuschätzen, mit denen die Wertschätzung für all das, was wir an Freundlichkeit empfangen haben, an körperlicher Unterstützung, an Unterstützung durch Wissen, Unterstützung durch Gesellschaft, das wiederholt, sich vor Augen zu führen, darüber zu freuen und das Gute zu genießen, das stärkt in uns die Empfindung von Verbundenheit, Freundlichkeit gegenüber allen anderen Wesen. Widmung.
So we're coming to questions now.
Okay, es sind stimmt, es sind zwei noch die Fragen vorgesehen. Es gibt die drei Fragen.
There's 3 questions.
Da brauchen wir ein Mikrofon dafür, damit es überhaupt hörbar wird für alle anderen. Gibt es ein tragbares Mikrofon für den Herrn? Und da ist ein Mikrofon, das muss nur noch zu dir gelangen. Meine Frage betrifft Tonglen.
Question is about Tonglen.
Ich habe nicht genug Mut dafür vorzustellen, das Unglück der anderen
I don't have enough courage to think I'm taking on the suffering of others. So is there a Tonglen for cowards?
Tonglen セワラ、あとトングレンドンガ、シェンジドンガで
랑라 렘바라 동랭라 동랭기 디 살쳔부인 송송 dan inang korang de jigjaw yor chenji dugna de nga sur ngarang rangna na so duna te pe trager ta te tragna de tonglen de le la bo taw chi yor be ko mi pawo ma imba ro mi pawo ma imba de la tonglen ji yor
동네지 봐대 람이게 삼바다 니게 오늘 람이게 주고 요리면 대 맞으면 동네지 람이게 못 받아 버리 어 소설 등이 가래요 뭐 대너지 섭지 섭지 요리성 지 찹대 이제 소설 등이 충돌 오래 섭지 섭지 정말 betungesi terage semna soachi yogore techi wa te une toni te terang re yi me pa do me pa chi wa ke chi yi ji de chi tolo yogo mari me sonam chibo no o te na sa ke te le o ga yo le ko 당에 toni nga top chimon do sa ga yo me te le to ko mari.
So what we call Donglen is like the giving of one's own happiness and receiving the suffering of others. Actually, that is something that Donglen really happens naturally, and it comes from love and compassion. So when love and compassion have arisen, Donglen really happens naturally. Even though there are certain visualizations for it, it really happens actually naturally. For example, if you whatever suffering you experience, if you have a problem, then you can think that all beings have these kind of problems, and may I represent them all? May I experience it instead of them? And when you think in this way, then your own suffering will already get lesser. So the actual true Donglen is more of a feeling, an experience, the experience of a feeling more so than just a visualization. So if we just visualize how we're taking the suffering, only through that it won't actually happen. There are some individuals